I'm Astrologer Penny Dix. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to 2024 and welcome to my in-depth look at the first new moon of the year. It's a new moon in Capricorn and it's on the 11th of January. So how is this going to pan out for us all? I mean, new moons, I think we always think of as positive and a chance to set good intentions, maybe some of those New Year's resolutions that have maybe already kind of been forgotten. But let's actually just have a look more deeply at what this particular new moon is all about. And at this point, wonderful Jerry of Team Penny will bring the chart above my left shoulder. And so, there it is. So I'm bringing the chart up early because I think it's important to get a sense. I've done it for universal times. So this is basically GMT, exactly on the meridian line, and it's London, the UK. So you have to adjust the time of the new moon for your location on the planet. But universal time, it's at 11:57. Now, it's quite interesting, isn't it, if you look at this chart, because we've got the cardinal quadrants. We've got Aries on the ascendant, cardinal, action, initiative, let's get going. We've got Libra on the descendant. Libra, of course, also about balance, harmony, having positive relationships, harmony in relationships. And then at the bottom of the chart on the IC, we have Cancer, also cardinal, and she is kind of showing the way into her home, which is the fourth house. And so this is at the bottom of the chart. And then at the top of the chart, we've got the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is an earth sign and it's cardinal. So we have quite kind of a mixture and to a certain extent, a balance of interesting energies with this full moon, new moon. The full moon is on the 25th at the end of the month in Leo. I will be doing a separate video about that. So this new moon is at 20 degrees and 44 minutes of Capricorn. If you know your chart, then look for where Capricorn is in your chart, but that particular house area of your chart and what governs that particular house, whether it's work, relationships, health, home, etc., then you'll get an idea of what this new moon's about. But don't worry, I am going to do each of your individual signs, which will be time-stamped by Jerry of Team Penny, and they will be after this short overview. So this new moon isn't really conjunct Pluto. It's a little bit wide because Pluto is now at what one would call the anaretic degree of Capricorn. And Pluto I've already talked a lot about in the lives, and I'm actually going to be doing a separate video all about Pluto in 2024 to help you get a sense of how this energy may affect you with its move into Aquarius. But with this new moon, it's before that happens. Now in the chart, the new moon is in the 10th house, which I think is quite interesting because it's a little bit like back to business, getting down to the nitty-gritties of what we all have to address as we find our way moving into a new year. And because it's a new moon, that is encouraging. But whatever you might be initiating at the moment, you have to bear in mind that retrograde Uranus in Taurus is making a trine aspect to this new moon. Now, what that means, and Uranus, remember, one of my lovely big outer boys, the planet of disruption, surprise, the unexpected. So it's also the planet of rebellion and freedom. And it rules Aquarius with its co-ruler Saturn, which is quite interesting because Uranus, even though Uranus is in Taurus, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, we are going to pay a lot of attention to what Uranus does as well. But I'll come to that later. Uranus trining this new moon means that what you start to initiate at the beginning of the year may not quite pan out the way you expect it to. But is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, my sense is that actually it could actually be for the better, so that you get a little bit of kind of luck and opportunity and that wonderful word serendipity coming into this new moon, because Jupiter, our wonderful planet of luck, opportunity, expansion, is in Taurus. And of course, it is now direct. And Jupiter is making a trine to the planet Mars in Capricorn. Now, Mars is all about energy, action, initiative, getting going. It can also be the physical body. And in Capricorn, it usually represents working hard, really applying oneself and getting on and doing what needs to be done, which is quite interesting because, of course, with the sun in Capricorn, and we always have this, of course, at the beginning of every new year, it does help us kind of focus our mind on what we need to do, especially if we have a career, if we work for a company, if we work for a business, if we're self-employed, if we run a business, all of those kind of energies. If you are retired and you don't want to work, or you just maybe have hobbies and passions that you love doing, then you might find you're being quite industrious about such hobbies. Or the other way this energy could play out for anyone of more mature years is you might get that urge to sort the house out, or the place where you live, to just kind of restructure it, get everything in order. Because remember, Capricorn is about structure. It's ruled by Saturn. Saturn contracts, it retracts, it constricts, it contains. So new ideas that you might be initiating are also going to be influenced by what Saturn is doing. Now, Saturn in this chart is, of course, direct in Pisces. I have to do a quick Pisces, my oceans of emotions. And Saturn is making a sextile to Jupiter. So that is actually quite helpful, because it also means it's making a sextile to Mars in Capricorn. So Saturn is saying that with Jupiter's energy, you may get really excited about all these ideas you've got to set in place, to kind of initiate, to get going with. And you may be overburdening yourself with a lot of ideas and energies at this moment. Saturn is saying, Be mindful. Slow down. Timing is the key. And remember, Saturn rules Capricorn. Therefore, it rules this new moon. So Saturn is saying everything is about timing. So if you are in the process of starting up something new, getting something moving, going, then don't rush it. Let it unfold in its own good time. Because, and it reminds me of a lovely sentence or phrase that my wonderful Jerry of Team Penny gave me right at the beginning when we first started the channel and had about 3 subscribers. There was me, Andrea, and Jerry. And he said, slow and steady wins the race. And you know, I thought a little bit about that with this new moon and the chart, because it has a feeling of we started the new year with the runners out of the race in one of these races, horse races, that has jumps. And some of this or some of them fall at the first hurdle. And some get going. And then it's a long race. And so we have to pace ourselves. We have to slow down. We have to know that if we pace ourselves and approach each jump as we get to it, we will get over it smoothly. That's a little bit how this new moon is setting the scene for this new year of 2024. Now, just before we go on to your individual signs, because of course I am doing your individual signs. I've got a cat hair on my nose. Excuse me, keep fluffing my nose. It'll go in a minute. Well, 5 cats, what do you expect? And there's just a couple of other things. It's gone down there now. Oh dear. A couple of other things I want to mention before I go on to your individual zodiac signs to tell you which part of the chart, so that's which area of your life the focus of this new moon energy is. And remember, they're all time-stamped by Jerry from Team Penny. So I wanted to just mention that Neptune in Pisces is squaring Mars in Capricorn. So with these ideas, bearing in mind Saturn is making this sextile to both Jupiter and Mars, Saturn is saying slow down, because Neptune is kind of making things not quite as clear as you perhaps thought at the start. So with all these wonderful dreams and ideas that you may want to initiate, remember that Neptune may be making things a little bit cloudy, a little bit confused. If it feels like that, take a step back. Remember the phrase, slow and steady wins the race. So stay with that energy. The other 2 things that I want to mention about today is, firstly, Aries. Remember, our dwarf planet that is all about rebellion. Aries is the woman, the goddess who got slighted by the gods and the goddesses up on Mount Olympus and turned up at the party even though she wasn't invited. It was a wedding party. So she brought a gift, and it was a golden apple. And the gods were saying, and the goddesses were saying, you're not invited. What are you doing here? But I bought a gift. Look, it's a golden apple. And all the goddesses are jumping up and down and saying, is that for me? Is it for me? It must be for me. It must be for me. And what Aries says is, this is for the fairest goddess of you all. And at that point, she tosses it into the center of this group of goddesses who all squabble like mad, tearing each other's hair out, being quite a rebellious lot until they can try and get hold of this golden apple. But of course, nobody can actually get it because it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. I'm the fairest, I'm the fairest. So it's not working. So of course, the god steps in, Zeus steps in and says, I will find someone who will decide for us whom is the most beautiful of all the goddesses. Now, who does he choose? Well, of course, he picks Paris. Now, do you remember Paris? Because Paris is the young man who started to sail towards Troy because Helen of Troy was there. And he had quite a fancy for Helen of Troy, but she wasn't particularly interested. So anyway, so Paris has this golden apple and he goes around all the goddesses saying, well, why should I choose you? What can you give me? How will I benefit from giving you this golden apple? Eventually he gets to Aphrodite, who of course is the goddess of love and relationship. And she says, Paris, I promise you the love of the most beautiful woman on the earth, Helen of Troy. Well, this was a no-brainer for Paris. He just said, here's the apple, where's Helen? So off he goes and races off and gets in his boat and sails towards Troy. And of course, falls in love with Helen. She falls in love with him. And nobody is very happy about this. And so we get the Trojan Wars. And then we had the Trojan horse, if you remember, and be careful of Greeks bearing gifts. But I think that's a little bit outdated nowadays. Let's not take that too seriously, but take it in the form that it was meant back then. Quite cunning, a Trojan horse. Anyway, back to the new moon. So Aries goes direct. Now, what this can kind of bring up, because Aries is in Aries. Aries is the sign which is ruled by Mars, that is Aries' brother, which is all about fighting and war. So I think there's going to be a new twist to what is happening in some of the terrible events with the various parts of the planet that are in conflict at the moment. I'm not going to name any of them. There are many places, not just the two that leap to mind. So this is about a twist, an unexpected twist that happens due to just this energy. So Aries, because it's about fighting, we may see an upsurge, a surge in fighting. But this could also be within cities, because as we're going towards and through 2024, we know that we have a lot of elections going on in various countries throughout the world. So I think in one of my videos, I talked about obviously the most well-known one, which is America will have its election in November, probably. And the UK is going to have an election maybe in May. And one of you lovely viewers said, there are elections in a lot of places this year. Don't forget us. So I'm sorry, of course I don't forget you. It's just I don't really know where else there are elections. But you're right, there's actually an election in Russia. I do know that. And I believe even Ukraine has to have an election this year. So it is going to be a rather interesting year. But more of that in another video. It doesn't really link in with this new moon energy. So what I want to say is the last thing I want to say. So what I was talking about with the Aries energy is that we may see people striking on the streets in various cities throughout the world, protesting, getting really uptight and angry about things. So that is part of the energy that we're going to see. The last thing before I go on to your individual signs is that Mercury, our planet of communication and of thought, thinking, and of anything that is to do with the spoken word and the written word, is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, which means it's conjunct what's known as the galactic center. This is actually quite important, and I'll tell you why. The galactic center is exactly what it sounds like. It's the center of the Milky Way. It has a gravitational pull and a magnetic pull that keeps the swirl of the Milky Way with us as a solar system in the Milky Way, and these other galaxies all moving round this galactic center. So with Mercury conjunct the galactic center, which is almost like a nursery for new galaxies, I think with this new moon around this time, we're going to hear something new about literally what's going on out there in the universe. I think we will get some direction, some information that will come out that will be interesting, that could kind of give a clue, a kind of signpost to how Pluto's move into Aquarius is going to unfold in terms of connection with galactic energies, let's leave it at that, and connection with the amazing leaps forward that are going to happen with artificial intelligence. So on that note, I'm now going to go on to your individual zodiac signs. And so at this point, the wonderful Jerry from Team Penny will make the chart magically disappear. Whew. And there it goes. Well, you know, before I start with Aries, I'm just looking at what I wrote, honestly, what's my English like? Underneath the new moon in Capricorn, expect the unexpected. And actually, I still hold to that. I think this is a new moon where we do need to be prepared for all sorts of twists and turns. Let's start, as I always do, with Aries. Aries. For you, this new moon is in your 10th house. Now, this is the house of work, career, business, soul direction. It's also the part of the chart which is about what what you make of yourself, whom you become, how you become the highest and best version of yourself. So this new moon is giving you that opportunity to really open up to these energies and to perhaps try something a little bit different, a little bit unusual, a little bit outside the box. I'm thinking of that Uranus energy trining this new moon. So I think that for me is a lot of what this new moon is about. I'm just opening up the chart again. Yes, because the new moon is trining it. And I think because your ruler Mars is being squared by, hang on, what am I talking about? Your ruler Mars is not, it's being, you're sextiling Saturn and sextiling Jupiter. That's right. And Jupiter is actually trining your ruling planet Mars. This is about, don't get too carried away with these new ideas you might want to initiate. But I think it's a good new moon for you. Okay, let's move on to Taurus. Taurus, my lovely earthy beings. Taurus, it's in your 9th house. And of course, the 9th house is about higher education, learning. It's also about being able to connect to that kind of higher frequency of spiritual energy. Now, because you have Capricorn in this part of your chart, you can be quite down to earth about all that kind of spiritual stuff. But this new moon is just suggesting that perhaps you broaden your vision and actually look at and have some more faith and trust in your gut feeling and your intuition. Because I'm thinking about Uranus trining this new moon. And Uranus is in your sign, Taurus. And of course, what it's been doing for you is creating a lot of change. And if you've not been moving willingly with the energy, this has been a rough ride, and it continues on for a couple more years. So I think that you may find with this new moon, your vision, your inner vision wakes up a bit, that you get a kind of some real aha moments and you think, oh, actually, maybe there is more to life than trees and grass and earth and animals and lovely flowers and smelly things and vegetables and all that kind of thing. So it feels as if instead of looking at the mud in the field, you're noticing the sunrise or the sunset, the colors, and you're looking up. You're starting to look up. And this sets the tone, Taurus, for the whole of 2024. Let's move on to Gemini. Gemini, for you, it's in your 8th house. So what is the 8th house? Well, it's often about joint finances, other people's money. It can be pensions, anything like that. It can be investments. So you may be having some serious discussions with that Mercury in Sagittarius, conjunct the galactic center. You may be having discussions with your financier, if you have one, or your accountant about how best to make your money work for you, or make your joint finances work with you and another. And I think that the Uranus is trying to stir you, Gemini, on an inner level, so that your thinking does not remain so cerebral, but that you too, like I've suggested for the other signs, begin to look around you a bit more and realize that there is more to life and this year than just making sure all the figures balance. Don't get too bogged down with the structure of how you're making everything work with the financial side of your life. Give it some breathing space. Slow down. Remember, Saturn rules this new moon. So Saturn is asking you to slow down. Right, let's move on to Cancer. Cancer. Your 7th house. The house of relationship. The house of harmony, of relating and balance, of communicating with the other. It's a new moon and it's Capricorn. There's something about you, Cancer. You do like stability and security and structure in your close one-to-one relationships. And if it's not there, if you don't feel safe, you'll go. You'll find something else or someone else. And this is a sort of timely kind of suggestion that you take your time and show some patience with trying to inject some new life into the relationships, the important ones in your life. And that if you're able to do that, then you actually use this energy in a really productive way, so that that energy from Uranus can really help lift things, wake things up in general in your romantic life. You know, if you were single, Cancer, this could bring in a new relationship. That's not beyond the realms of possibility. Not necessarily right now on the 11th in January, but it's certainly a possibility over the next few months if that's what you're looking for. And what you need to find, Cancer, is somebody who respects and helps you to feel safe and secure in your shell. Because if they are all over the place, then you just retreat even further into your shell and present a hard, tough exterior that no one can break through. And what then happens is it actually also affects all your relationships and your friendships. So that, in a sense, everyone suffers from this restriction that you impose on yourself. Don't hide away, Cancer. I know you've been through a tough time. I mean, the whole planet has been through an incredibly tough few years. And this year, what can I say about this year, Cancer? It will be different. This year, as I say, is a little bit like a horse race. You've got to pace yourself, canter as you get close to the jumps, and then leave plenty of space to make that jump, and then allow yourself to do a gallop until you get to the next jump, and then again slow down, canter, line yourself up, and over the next jump. And if you approach 2024 in this fashion, Cancer, you'll get through it. It'll all be fine. Leo, you great big pussycats. So how is this new moon going to pan out for you? Because it's in your 6th house. This can be the house of health. It's also the house of the day-to-day routine and our working life. It's about service to others. And you've got to remember that Pluto, the planet of transformation, Pluto that is going to be such a big player this year in the astrology of the whole year, is still in Capricorn with this new moon. And it's been affecting you, maybe health-wise. There may have been a lot of Leos who have had to deal with particular health issues as they've come up throughout the last 15 or so, 18 years. But this is about resolution. This is the year, if there have been health difficulties, this is the year that they get resolved. Because Pluto will leave you with a gift. Pluto will move into your 7th house to shed its energy and use its energy to really transform your close one-to-one relationships. So this new moon for you, Leo, lighten up. Allow Uranus to wake you up gently. Begin to just have a little bit of wider vision and look at what you can do to serve others as well. Don't get too into yourself and navel picking. Try and, you may have problems, Leo. Try and look outside of that and actually look at how when we serve the world, we actually serve ourselves and we heal as well. Now let's move on to Virgo. Virgo. So mutable, earthy Virgo. It's in your 5th house of fun. But are you able to relax, Virgo, and allow yourself some fun? It's a new moon. But, feels a little bit chilly in this 5th house of yours, a little bit cold. Like, well, everything's got to be kind of detailed and structured, and we can't have any spontaneity. We must have everything planned out. And no unexpected guests, please, which Uranus could bring. I think you need to prepare yourself for some unexpected visitors. I think that could be a manifestation of this new moon energy. So be mindful of that, be aware of that. And in general, this new moon also, if you relax and allow yourself to just kind of sit back a bit and slow down, and, you don't have to get everything done in January. We've got 11 more months. 11 more months of new moons and full moons. How cool is that? You've got lots of chances and opportunities. So take it easy, Virgo. And I just want to encourage you, as the new moon is in this sign, in this part of your chart, to have some fun. whatever that may bring. Now, let's move on to Libra. So Libra, for you, it's in the 4th house. Well, of course, this is all about home and family. This can be about where you're living. It's Capricorn. You do like things, Libra, to be in order at home. I would say, if you're a classic Libran, you like things to be a little bit kind of aesthetically minimalist. And, you know, if there's a picture that is just not quite hung in the right place, it will irritate you to death until you can get it moved to the right location, because the colour has to combine with the colour of the sofa underneath, etc. But cool colours, you will always choose cool colours in your home. You're not often a bright reds and orange kind of energy. So, but what is it about with regard to family? I think there are some opportunities to mend any bridges that broke down over the last few months. So if any of your relationships with family have just even become a little bit distant because, I don't know, time passes. We go, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow goes into the next day and the next day. And actually these things really annoy you because you don't like to not be, and I mean this with the best will in the world, you don't like to not be perfect. You're a little bit like Virgo in that. There's an element of perfectionism in Libra. Remember, you are ruled by Venus, the goddess of love. And you do love to to have everything looking beautiful, including yourself. So maybe you should also give a little bit of attention to you and change your hair. I know sometimes that's difficult, depends whether we've got any hair or not. Change the way you dress. But there are lots of ways that you could just get some energy and benefit out of this particular new moon. Let's now move on to Scorpio. So Scorpio, it's in your 3rd house. This is kind of like your local area, and it's also about communication. Now, Scorpio, it's Capricorn. And Scorpio, you have this dark side to you, this wonderful shadow side. Jung must have loved Scorpios, Carl Jung being one of the grandfathers of psychoanalysis along with Sigmund Freud. And Scorpio, I think you've just got to watch it with this new moon, that you don't come across a little bit cool or cold in your dealings with others. There may be some energy around you or people around you that really just aren't getting it. And that you're getting kind of the eye rolls and, you know, is it really that difficult to understand? Have a little bit of patience, Saturn. Saturn's asking you to slow down. Be patient, be kind. And with this new moon energy, you know, be a little bit more mindful and structured in the way that you communicate. Surprise people with being really lovely. And I'm not suggesting, Scorpio, that you're not lovely or don't ever come out with nice things. So please don't mishear it. But sometimes your tolerance level for people that are a little bit slow to pick up on perhaps what you're saying or what's going on, you just get a little bit intolerant and impatient. So I think this new moon is saying, turn over a new leaf. Find a new way to communicate mindfully, kindly, gently, and the benefits will be massive. Don't forget, Jupiter trining Mars. Fantastic benefits, seriously. Let's move on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, in your second house of finance, economy, self-worth, how you feel about you, how you make your money, how you use your talents to build your empire. Doesn't matter whether you're 16 years old with a Saturday job and a purse that you keep the money in and check it every now and then think, oh, I can have a big splurge. I can buy that nice outfit I saw online or in the high street the other day. I don't think anyone shops on the high street anymore, do they? I think this is the death of the high street. But Sagittarius, in general, this is about your self-worth. Are you being a little bit harsh on yourself? This is a new moon. You may come up with some innovative new ideas of ways to make yourself feel better about yourself. Because I wonder, Sagittarius, if you've been feeling a little bit kind of tired and kind of like everything's just a little bit kind of drawn since Christmas and New Year. It's all got a little bit too much. Maybe you just need to take some time out and give yourself a little bit of loving care and attention and use some of your well-earned pennies, excuse the pun, on treating yourself to something nice that makes you feel good about you. So I do think it's also, the other thing is it's also an opportunity to start something new that can bring in some finance. So bear that in mind as well, because remember, the second house connects with the 8th house, which is about investments, pensions, and other people's money. So there may be something which links you to something in the 8th house. But let's move on to the star of the show, Capricorn. Capricorn, for you, it's in your first house, of course, which is all about you. And a lot of things have been about you for about the last 18 or so years. And you've been through a tsunami, Capricorn, of change on an inner level, on a personal level. And, Pluto's move into your, when Pluto moves into your second house, Aquarius, that is just going to make such a difference to you. Remember, Pluto leaves you with a gift. All the big outer planets reward us if we've done the work, and all of that is in inverted commas. And I'll explain more about that when I do my Pluto in 2024 video. But it's a new moon, Capricorn. Be inventive. You may find that if you use a little bit of spontaneity and try something a little bit out of the box and unusual, you get some nice invitations. You start something afresh. You may want to change your hair. I know if you're a bloke, that may not necessarily be possible, but I know a lot of women watch my channel, so I'm thinking about the ladies of you out there maybe wanting to change your hair. But I do know I have a lot of wonderful men subscribers too, and listen, I value all of you, and you're just friggin' awesome. That's what I can say. But Capricorn, it's a new moon. Try something new. Think outside the box. Try some colour. Don't be so structured and tailored with the way you dress. Try something a bit more flamboyant, a bit different. I think it'll really make a difference for you. So let's move on to Aquarius. So Aquarius, for you, this is in your 12th house. Now, Aquarius, of course, you are going to be the star of the show because Pluto is going to be moving into your first house. So you are going to be really transforming in the most incredible way over the next 20 or so years. But let's come back to today and this new moon. This is about the inner you, Aquarius. And what it tells us is that what you really need to be thinking about is much more how you have worked with these energies in your 12th house, and that namely being Pluto. Remember, Pluto has been in your 12th house in Capricorn, making you go down to the very depths of your soul. And I don't think any of you will have escaped this. Many of you will have sought help in the form of a therapist, a counselor, a coach. Many of you will have done that. But, you know, this is about the inner you. And also, this new moon may be making you feel a little bit frustrated, restricted. It's like you want to break out. You've got these ideas. It's like your higher conscious self, your higher self, your consciousness is full of ideas. It's like all these frequencies are buzzing away on a really high level. And it's so fast that you can't keep up with the kind of information that is being downloaded to you. But this is saying you have to slow down. Remember, Capricorn, where the new moon is ruled by Saturn. You had Saturn in your sign. It's now in your second house of finance, getting you to be much more structured about your financial status. So Aquarius, you really, really do need to let go with this new moon. I think you could really have some revelatory awakening moments over the next few weeks leading up to the full moon in Leo on the 25th of January. Just my feeling. So let's finally move on to Pisces, my oceans of emotions. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten my oceans of emotions, Pisces. How are you in that boat being tossed around on the ocean all over the place? Has it been a little bit choppy waters? Well, Pisces, this new moon is in your 11th house. And this is the part of your chart that is like the birthplace for you of your fresh ideas and your kind of where you give birth to new projects, new plans. And you're surprisingly, which I think surprises a lot of people, because it's Capricorn, you're actually quite structured about it. You're actually quite, when you put your mind to it, Pisces, you can really put those boundaries in place. The problem is you can sometimes go round and round in circles rather than kind of allowing that structure to come in. Think of that Saturn sextiling Jupiter. You're buzzing with new ideas that could make you a lot of money. Well, Pisces, that can't be bad, but it's going to be hard work. Remember, we've got that Saturn sextiling Mars in Capricorn. It's going to be hard work. But these ideas, it's like they are coming to you from the galactic center, where Mercury is conjunct. It's not drunk. And I haven't had a drink because it's actually, for me, it's only 2:30 in the afternoon, but conjunct the galactic center in Sagittarius. This is quite interesting for you, Pisces, for this new moon, because the galactic center is like the nursery of the galaxy. It's where new galaxies are formed. So it's almost like a kind of, it sucks things in and then spews things out. I'm trying to think if there's any kitchen equipment that kind of can represent it. But let's just stay with it being a nursery. It's where the ideas are conceived. And with this new moon, Pisces, you have a direct line to the galactic center through Mercury in Sagittarius. So bear that in mind, because you're going to get some amazingly unusual and really outside the box ideas. Don't procrastinate, Pisces. Act on them. This new moon is saying, come on, act on them. Get them together now. There we go. So that, I hope, is all 12 zodiac signs. And hopefully I've not missed anyone out. I know you will all be very quick to tell me if I have, but I do want to say thank you so much for joining me for this in-depth look at the new moon in Capricorn. And Team Penny and myself, Astrology with Penny Dix, we are making some changes this year. And you will see them subtly creeping in as time passes. And there are no prizes for anyone who spots the differences or the changes as they come along. Sorry about that. But there are some changes coming in. Remember, I've got a new booking system on the website. And I know a lot of you are the same age as me, mature, and that technology isn't your strongest point. So what I'm going to do is make a list of, FQAs, frequent questions asked, because I get a lot of emails saying, how do I do this? How do I book a session? How do I get on Skype? How do I pay? So I'm going to do a list of frequently answered questions so that it'll all be on a separate page on the website for you to refer to, so that I can see more of you and not spend all my time answering all the emails. So that is part of what will be changing. And the website will be updating, upgrading, and all sorts of things. Remember that I have my weekly moon journals where I also look at the astrological aspects for the week ahead. That's always going to be, to the best of my knowledge, on a Sunday, but at 6 o'clock Central European time. So you should be seeing this video before the next one, which will be on Sunday and I don't even know what Sunday is, Sunday the 7th of January. So that'll be my next week ahead live video. And please remember to like, comment and subscribe. All those wonderful things you do. Share, tell your friends, all of that. And thank you to all the new subscribers, because there are a huge amount of you that have trusted me with giving you the best of, to the best of my ability, my astrological experience and knowledge. So a big thank you to all of you. And on that note, have a wonderful new moon. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.